Hey there, my friends. I have something interesting I want to talk about. Last few weeks, I've noticed that I've been very sensitive to and paying attention to how other people conduct themselves, how they conduct business, and so forth. And what I mean by this is, I noticed that certain stores don't enforce wearing masks, or I saw this person driving a van on the highway today, and that's what prompted me to make this video. And they were sponsoring a local ice cream company that's very popular here and takes pride in having organic ice cream and all this stuff. And I guess it was a delivery van, and the driver was smoking a cigarette. And my initial instinct in all of these situations was to get angry, to look for a phone number in the side of that van and call it and say, hey, if you guys want to do good, you might want to consider not letting your driver smoke cigarettes when they're delivering food items. And I made a video at this Dollar General store where I went in and I filmed employees not wearing masks, and I told them they should wear masks, and they gave me the finger and laughed at me, and I got so upset I called the corporate hotline and all this stuff. So what I'm getting at, this is not me. That's not my personality. I normally don't even notice those type of things. But for some reason, I'm noticing them. And not just noticing them, I'm letting them bother me. So I started thinking about that. And I've been thinking about it all day. And I've come to the conclusion, the reason for this is because I don't feel like I'm in complete control of my own life. I don't feel like I have a grasp for the future. I'm kind of staticky, if you know what I mean. And this lack of control of my own life, being told I have to wear a mask, being told to stay home, to protect other people, and all this kind of stuff, I agree with it all. But it doesn't change the fact that I feel like I've lost some of my freedom. So, I've come to the conclusion that people who go through their lives doing that, people who go through their lives whining and complaining and pointing the finger at other people and basically being a snitch, that's how they feel all the time. Not just because of COVID, but all the time. So they are out of control. They have lost grasp with their life, whether it be a husband or a wife or kids or financial reasons or a boss they don't get along with at work or car problems or whatever it is. Something in their life is making them miserable. And that misery is causing them to reflect on the world around them. So I guess what I'm saying is sometimes you just gotta stop and reflect on yourself about what you're doing and why you're doing it. There's no reason to step outside of your box to make somebody else's life miserable, even if they're doing something they probably shouldn't be doing. I'm not a policeman. I don't work for the FBI. I don't want to be some citizen arrest guy. But it bothers me when I see certain things. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being bothered by stuff. There's nothing wrong with not liking the service you got at the restaurant today. But if you're in a situation like that, you express to the waiter or the waitress your displeasure in their service by only leaving them a 10 or a 15% tip instead of a 20 or a 25% tip. You can even put a little note on the receipt and say, I normally tip 30, but you didn't give me a 30% service today, so I'm only giving you 10 or 15. I always tip no matter how bad the service is. I mean, they depend on that money. So that's not the bad thing. That's okay to do that. What would be bad, though, is to ask to speak to the manager, and when the manager comes over, make a big ordeal about how this waiter, gave you horrible. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. The person driving that van and smoking the cigarette, maybe they haven't had a cigarette in a year, and they're so stressed out right now because of COVID, or they're not making enough money or getting enough jobs, etc. So they're stressed out, and they picked up smoking again. We don't know these things. So why is there a certain group of people that will actually go out of their way to get other people into trouble? Why? Because it makes you feel better. You feel better about your own life if you can stop and point out the issues and problems with another person's life. That's basically the opposite of empathy. So my lesson today in Deep Thoughts with Sinatra Kennedy is stop and think anytime you're doing something negative. Stop and consider why you're doing it and what the source from within yourself is coming from. Because it only serves to stress you out. I was stressed looking at that person smoking a cigarette and handling food. Would I want to know that someone was smoking a cigarette and delivering my food? I probably would. But is some guy driving on the highway the right guy to tell me that? No. Think happy, healthy thoughts. Stay hydrated. Make sure you're getting your potassium and magnesium. And don't let stress, anxiety, and unhappiness dictate how you treat other people. Thanks for watching.